Hey everyone, it's Matt with EquiPredict Analytics. Thanks so much for watching. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to use the ADX indicator, which is short for Average Directional Movement Index indicator, to measure the strength or lack thereof of a trend using a moving average crossover trading strategy. And again, just briefly, if you're enjoying some of the content we're providing, please do subscribe to the channel. You can also head over to our website, equipredict.com. We have a lot of information over there regarding market forecasting. And if you'd like, we do have a quarterly EquiPredict forecast that we do send out to our readers over there as well. So it's equipredict.com. Up on the screen here, we actually have a daily chart of NVIDIA, and I'll walk through each of the indicators that we have overlaid. First, we have the light gray line, just briefly, is our EquiPredict model. This was a forecast that was created in December of 2023. It just gives us a roadmap, a guideline that we use to kind of monitor where the turning points are. It doesn't follow the stock price. It actually provides us calendar dates. It's tied to the calendar and not to the price of where bullish and bias price action may step in and appear. We actually do have an updated one that we did 48 hours ago. This is actually what happened in terms of bullish and bearish bias in 2024, and you can see that basically we had a bullish bias up to here, a bit of a sideways consolidation, and then bearish bias set in sometime in mid-March here, down to a low in late April. So the forecast didn't do too bad of a job forecasting, but nonetheless, that's what it's for. So I'm just going to turn that off so that we can hop right to the other indicators that we're going to be talking about. So we are going to be using the ADX indicator down below. We do have a setting of 11 on this. Most software packages have a standard setting of 14. No matter what time frame you're on. We're on the daily chart. We're going to tune that down to a standard setting of 11, so 11 period look back for the ADX. And we also have two moving averages that we've overlaid here, which is a 5, which is the pink. So think of it as a faster moving average. This is a simple moving average of 5 and a simple moving average of 18, which is the blue line. Again, we've kept that blue because it's a bit slower. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use these two moving averages in combination with the price action, and then tie in the ADX to tell us about any trends that have taken place prior. It gives us more evidence and adds more weight into any decisions we make regarding what to do with NVIDIA stock going forward. And so what you're going to see, first of all, we'll just start right here in the December of 2023. Again, we're going back in time here. We're going to kind of walk forward through some bars. And we had a crossover. It's been a relatively kind of messy period of time here, volatile period of time at that particular point in time. But what we do have is we actually were told by the ADX indicator, as it got up to the extreme reading, well, just shy of extreme reading, to about 55, just under 60 here, back in November of 2023, that the strength of this trend that occurred for just about a month or so was very strong. So what that tells us is any kind of pullback should be considered viable. Even if you're having some crossovers like this. Reason being is because the ADX indicator is actually the difference between the DI plus and DI negative, which are directional indicators. We're not going to go into detail how that works, but it tells us that essentially the bulls were very much in control during this particular run-up. And then this particular fall here, which you see from late November 2023 into early December of 2023, you can see that the ADX had been falling that whole period of time, meaning the bears were not very much present. So this is a very sort of healthy indicator for us going forward that there's going to be continued bullish price action. Now, our EquiPredict model, again, we have sort of a cheat sheet with that, tells us that we're not really going to see anything impressive in terms of bearishness until most likely sometime in March. Again, this is a forecast. We can actually see how it played out using the updated forecast. But you can see that this relative confidence just using that. But we have essentially a trendless market going from November until late December of 2023. Reason why I say trendless is because the ADX indicator, as you can see, got down here. And I apologize if I neglected to kind of walk through sort of how the ADX indicator, or how I use the ADX indicator, is on the extreme readings only. All right, so I'm looking for the ADX indicator, which is telling me the power or the strength behind a trend. I want to see it at its extremes. I want to see it up over 55 or 60, potentially up even to 70. That tells me there's a lot of power behind that trend that has taken place, or down below 20 or 25 on the bottom side. indicators, no matter what you're using, they really work best at their extremes. And when they're in sort of this no man's land in the middle portion, they're hard to use. They're not really telling you anything significant. What you want is significant data. And so this just tells us that since late November, there really hasn't been a trend. There's been no power behind even these whipsaws here. There really hasn't been any power. So what we're doing is we're looking for power to kick in. But let's go ahead and see if we can't kind of see what ADX is going to tell us as NVIDIA's stock unfolds going forward. So we're going to walk forward a little bit. And one thing to keep in mind is right away, you have a curling up of an 18 period moving average. That's bullish. So there's nothing that's bearish in this situation or this pattern yet. Again, powerful slope upwards in the November 2023 run. So let's see what's going to happen. What we're doing is essentially looking for either a breakdown or a pop above this particular no trend time, because whenever you get an ADX indicator that is down below 25, below 20 for an extended period of time, it typically means something's going to unfold. All right, again, the indicator's more at a low extreme reading than a high extreme, obviously. And so it tells you that the market is going to want to do something. It's going to want to change its trend. So I believe it did pop at some point in the early part of the year. Let's just see what unfolds. All right, there's the pop going into January of 2024. What we also have is a moving average crossing over and turning up. So the 5 is just crossing over the 18, and the 18 and 5 are both pointing upwards. So this is a bullish entry that you can go ahead and confidently take. You could argue you could wait for some type of pullback to occur, but given the fact that the strength of the trend was powerful back here, as the ADX has told us, most likely the ADX will probably get going to the upside, I'm guessing, going forward. Also, our equity predict model is telling us that we're going to have some bullish action until March of 2024. So let's just keep walking forward, and we're basically going to be riding this trend. You're going to be moving your stops up as you go along. You're going to be looking at the ADX indicator below to let you know and let it tell you what the strength of the trend is. We've just crossed over 40, so we're getting into very strong territory with this trend. So again, this tells you that this leg that's developing is a very strong trend. So we're going to continue to ride this trend, and if you watch the ADX indicator below, you're going to see it also climbs. So when you get to an extreme reading with ADX, which we're up here at, so we're up here at 70. Whenever you get to 70 or even a rare kind of 75, it typically means the trend is in need of a period of at least sideways consolidation to relieve sort of that overpowered reading. It doesn't mean you're going to have a sell-off. I think that's one thing that people get confused with regards to the ADX indicator, is that once they think it gets to an extreme of either way, it's, especially with the high readings of power, you're going to have a sell-off. You're not going to necessarily have that. The markets are designed to go up, so when you have a bullish reading like this, it's a good thing for the stock. So I hope that sort of makes sense. But right now, everything is bullish. There is no indication of any bearishness right now. Again, the equity brick model is telling us maybe we'll see some sideways consolidation or bearishness going into February, but the likely scenario is it's probably not going to happen given the fact that this powerful move in the ADX was so strong. So let's just continue to walk forward. Okay, so we're still going forward. And I'm watching the ADX indicator. So it's starting to lose a bit of power as it climbs, and you did have the price drop a little bit here. I wouldn't be too concerned with that. It might be a buying opportunity. Also the fact, again, that you had that power behind here, that's more likely a buying opportunity than it is a selling, sort of a sell trigger. If you don't have a trigger, you could argue that there's a trend line break here. If you draw let me just kind of draw this kind of squiggly trend line in. Sorry about that. But you could argue there's a trend line break, but the fact that it's bullish trend, it's hard to say, okay, this is a time to go bearish in a stock that is powerful. So let's go ahead and continue walking forward. Okay, so you had a gap up. So that's a whipsaw. Essentially that's machines taking out stops. And again, this is where folks are going to jump right into it and start to chase this trend. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. So you're going to have people who are experiencing fear of missing out, FOMO, at this particular point in time. We didn't have a crossover of the moving averages, but people are going to hop in here. And most likely, given the fact that the trend started to weaken, we're probably going to see some period of consolidation, sideways price action, or a fall going into April. just in the fact that the trend actually started to lose some power. So this is a period of time where you definitely want to sit back and wait. You don't want to chase that trend at this particular point in time. You'd be looking for some type of sideways consolidation and a new trend to begin, or after a period of bearishness, a new trend to begin after that. So let's see how things are going to play out. And I'm watching the ADX too. So we started to gain more momentum, but you do have a divergence essentially. So price was climbing. The ADX on this pop up here did not climb above where it was or get up to around 70. It only got up to a high of about 58 or so, just shy of 60. And you also have a bearish engulfing candle here at the top, which is March 8th. So this is a period of time where you just sit and watch and wait. You don't want to chase these. So we're going to walk forward some more. And I do recall there was a downfall in the stock market, I believe, going into April. So we know that. But now what we're going to see is that as the price is starting to trickle off, we actually have the trend is not starting to pick up steam just yet. And that's a good thing. That means at this particular point in time, this trend right here, even though we have a crossover and now the 18 and the 5 are moving, are downwards or sloping downwards, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see extreme bearishness, but it's a period of time where we're going to be looking for a new trend to begin to go long. All right, so let's continue to walk forward with this. All right, so the equity predict model is doing fairly well with forecasting kind of where we're going to see some bullishness potentially set in. Again, the bullishness is supposed to set in according to the model sometime in May. And we have the ADX reading, which is a good sign, not really picking up a whole lot of steam as the stock price is falling as this drawdown is taking place, again, which is bullish for the stock in the long run. All right, so now we have a crossover, excuse me. We have a crossover of the 5 and the 18. They're both pointed up. The equity predict model is telling us this is a period of bullishness. The ADX indicator during this particular drawdown did not pick up a whole lot of momentum. We did get to a period of time when it was down in an extreme reading below 20, indicating that that was not a strong trend. And so if we go back in time and we look at this particular point in time when the trend was strong, it tells us that this is likely somehow the market's going to digest this sort of volatility, and most likely it's going to lead to another run up. Let's see how it goes. All right, so you had a gap up, moving averages pointing up. So this is another period of time when this appears a new trend that is strong is developing. So I hope that sort of gives you an idea of how to use the ADX as a historical reading as to how a trend is going to unfold, and one that is unfolding, how it's going to play out for you. Again, if you look at going backwards in time, you want to see where a trend has begun, or maybe you're late to a trend, catching a trend. If the ADX indicator has gotten to sort of an extreme reading, that's a positive sign. Don't take that as a negative, take that as positive. And then any kind of pullback to a moving average of your choice or a trend line of your choice is typically a buying opportunity. Obviously have your stops in place, but don't get stopped out prematurely by having your stops too close to the market in a bull market. And those for those who are curious, we're actually going to fast forward ahead a little bit to kind of see, if you want to stick around on the video, we're actually going to see what has happened with the NVDA stock up to today. I'm just going to fast forward real quick, and we're actually going to go right to today's date, and we're going to turn on the equity predict forecasting model so that you can see kind of what it's forecasting. So this is actually as of today. Let's move forward with a few more bars. Okay. That was actually yesterday, I believe, which was Monday, so a couple days ago. So we're going to turn on the forecasting model, and what we're going to actually see is that there appears to be some bullishness that will continue in NVIDIA stock into November, and at a particular point in time, they're both agreeing that the next period of bullishness is going to reappear if after a period of sideways consolidation in late November into early December, will reappear sometime in mid-December going into the new year for NVIDIA. So I hope that helps. Hope the ADX indicator is something you can tie in. I'll do some more research on it, follow a few more videos, or find a few more videos to do some research on the ADX indicator in combination with a trend, sort of a trading strategy of your choice. Hope that helps, and good trading. Take care.